Okay. I will re-explore this deck, but this time in the line of Constellars. This right here is the abomination that made your eyes bleed. Guys, I was trying my best to retain some of its old control magic. Seems like there's no control magic in this deck anymore. Everything in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is always about combo now. Unless, of course, you blame me for setting 5 back row that really annoys you. But you know what? Let's go explore the Constellars. So, here we go. So we have gone from this to this. So we're now a hybrid deck of Constellars and Tellarknights. So it's a true hybrid because literally there's equal ratios of both of them. Okay, looking at the first 9 cards, these are the first 9 cards that you want to see as your openers, as well as maybe Deneb, but Deneb is more of a 2-card combo. It doesn't really work alone. Yeah, that's just how it is. So now jumping from a 3-card to 2-card combo deck, now it's a 1 to 2 card, which is much better, way better, especially when Sheraton is the just 1-card juggernaut here. So this is your tour guide, summons out and adds a Constellar monster, and adding a Constellar, you get to add Caduceus. Caduceus can special summon itself out because you control a Constellar. That's going to help you add yourself the Twinkle, which will modulate the level. Now you have 2 level 4s. That's how that basically works. If you open with Lyra and Caduceus, you can summon either or onto the field. I prefer summoning out Lyra so that I don't get, well, negated, or if it does get negated, I get to just activate Caduceus instead, or otherwise I'll just be locked with the Lyra in my hand, and that's just worse. All right, that's just worse. The Lyra can also pair with the Deneb. Again, it gets you 2 level 4s. Essentially, you're just trying to go for a game that just jumps out 2 level 4s. There's more ways to get out 2 level 4s. That's why there's also Vega. Vegas can also, give you that same line of play, more or less. 2 Altairs. One for searching, one for summoning out from Delteros, and then you can use that to just give yourself a free Delteros. And then you have a Knuckle-Eye. This is the foolish, namely to dump Altea. Sirius to shuffle back your cards. Renault for the Isolde play, so you can add your equip spell. I'll go into those lines in a second. Kashtira, Rise Heart. Just note, if you're going to be playing this line, you're going to Fenrir giving you a little bit more offensive power to kind of break boards, force disruptions. You can search out the Rise Heart. Now, just don't summon out Rise Heart until you're ready. By ready, I mean you're ready to go into Isolde, you finish your Appaloosa. Try to hold it before that, because if you do summon this card out using its effect, you lock into Xyz from your extra deck, which shuts your own play down. So you're tripping over your own play. Don't want to do that. And Fenrir is Fenrir. It's a free summon, and it's also a pretty beefy monster. That's why the offensive levels and basically the offense and the combo orient of the deck have been really just pushed up. Hand trap wise, I don't know anything about the future hand traps. It's 2 formats away. It's too far ahead. I can't really tell. There's also Tellarknight Constellar. This card, I play 2. A lot of people choose to play 1. I think it's just a fantastic card in general. So still play it. Expect your opponent to disrupt you. And if you hard open this card, it's good. Rhoda, because this is mostly a warrior deck, maybe except for like the 2 pure Constellar monsters. We have 1 Sky Bridge so that we can go into any of our Tellarknight monsters and basically kind of dodge disruptions, namely like targeting based hand traps, targeting based disruptions. But also you can use it to trigger your Altea during your opponent's turn, especially if you already have a couple of names on the field. Next we have Twinkle. Twinkle modulates your levels for your Constellar monsters, and don't forget these monsters, Altea and Lyra, both count as Constellar monsters as well. So this helps you get into additional rank 5s. Triple tack just because it's triple tack. Living Fossil and DD are the 2 spell cards I'm going to go with for Isolde. It's really, really good. For 1, because you get the free level 4 body, or you get that body that you banished by Caduceus. That also works. And Isolde already adds a name to your hand, so this basically pays the cost for free. And if you can get the additional effect, remember, Caduceus doesn't actually use the effect of the monster, so you still have it. It just copies the effect, so it doesn't count as used. So yeah, you can definitely reuse some of your plays there. It'll showcase it in the combo section. And then this deck, being a 1-card combo or 2-card combo deck, you can die to a 1-card counter, Dark Ruler. So we're just going to counter with a Stellar Nova Alpha if we do open with it. And then I still stand by my statement saying, we should probably get a Link monster, an Xyz monster, whatever, to search for the counter trap. Search for the Stellar Nova card. I think it would really just bridge the rest of the deck, because then you would have what exactly Tearlaments would have. They can search crime, they can shuffle it back into the deck, add it back to their hand when they dump the Scream. So why can't we get our same search here? It's equivalent in terms of power level. Is it broken? I don't know. But in terms of extra deck, 1 Zeus, it's a lot tighter now. So yeah, there's no point in playing those pots that banish from the extra deck like Prosperity or Extravagance. 2 Caduceus. you just go into 1 in the combo. The second one is mainly for follow-up. 1 diamond for diamond's your boss monster. Pleiades is also your boss monster. We have 1 M7. This is your pivot point for your combo. So if your opponent goes Cashier Unicorn or Diabolus is this, you'll find yourself struggling to try to make big monsters. You're just going to be going mainly into 1-5 and 1-4. Yeah, that's as far as I went after this card got hit. It sucks. It sucks a lot. 1 Delteros, this is mandatory. Ptolemaeus, also mandatory. In terms of your flex spots, these are your 4 cards that are flex spots. But you would never cut Dweller because it's a grave-centric format 90% of the time. And Baguska is your pivot against D-Shifter. So yeah, it's basically Trevor and Ptolemaeus. And you have to keep 1 name at least. The reason why you have to keep 1 name is Ptolemaeus. Ptolemaeus needs to kind of attach a material. So if you can't attach a material, you won't get to 3 material if you're stuck with 2 monsters, which lowers the value of your Ptolemaeus and forces a higher level of commitment. And then Gaga Magician. Shout out to Yassine. And Yassine's the one that really highlighted this over playing the Heroic Challenger. I think this is better than the Heroic Challenger in my opinion, just because you could just summon out Delteros for free and then just get rid of it for the extra body. Yeah, it's really good. 1 is sold. Self-explanatory. This is your combo piece, and then you also have Appaloosa. This is a warrior deck. Anyways, as for the side deck, there's no real true side here. The only thing that people will side is Al Sam to burn you in a certain amount of time. As for the rest of it, you'll just have to figure it out later on. But I do recommend playing evenly, and you can also play like Gozen and stuff because this is a mono attribute deck, more or less. Now, this is a 1-card combo deck, but I also don't want to oversell it because there are a lot of choke points in this deck. So don't, get too excited because of its 1-card nature. But starting off, we have the Constellar Sheraton. If this gets negated, it will suck. But if you have a follow-up, that's fine. Go into Caduceus. Caduceus will search Twinkle, activate Twinkle, change it to level 4, overlay into Tellarknight Constellar Caduceus, add back the Twinkle upon summon, and then you're going to activate the effect of the Caduceus, banishing the Lyra, copying its effect, and detaching the level 4. Next, add the Tellarknight Constellar, activate the effect, summon back the monster Caduceus, it's a level 4. Next, just directly overlay your Tellarknight Constellar Caduceus into an M7. Activate the Tellarknight Constellar, and turn that into Delteros. Delteros effect, try to pop itself. Using Delteros effect, summon Altair. Altair basically transforms into 2 monsters. Delteros is not once per turn. Summon back the Delteros and go into an Isolde. Activate Chainlink 1 Delteros, Chainlink 2 on the Isolde. Therefore, you have a little bit of a nice chain block here, although I don't think it's going to be necessary. They probably would have asked you way earlier. But otherwise, this would have been a choke point. But anyways, moving on, we decide to add an Altair with the Isolde because we can't use it anymore. We already used the effect. We summoned it. So yeah, we don't need to summon it anymore. And Delteros is going to summon out a Deneb. Deneb effect, we're going to add a Knuckle Eye here. We want to dump into the graveyard another monster. That's why we go for the Deneb. Next, we're going to go into Gaga Magician. Activate Gaga's effect. Get the Delteros back onto the field. Activate the Isolde now. So we're going to dump DDR because we haven't actually summoned out Lyra yet. So that's what we're going to go for. We're going to summon out our Renault effect, add back the DDR. Now we go into a 4-material Appaloosa. Luckily, Delteros was sent there, so now we get to summon out Vega. Vega effect, summon out the Knuckle Eye. A Knuckle Eye effect, we just dumped into the graveyard the Altea. So when we revive it now, Lyra gets special summoned out. We get to add the Tellarknight Skybridge, or you can add the other copy of Tellarknight Constellar, but you're still going to have another copy of it in your hand anyway. Now that you have 2 Constellar monsters, we can activate the Twinkle that we added back into our hand. We're going to go into Ptolemaeus here. Then we're going to boost the level of both of these monsters to 5s. Alright, we're going to banish Sheraton to add the Constellar Twinkle back. Boost the other monsters, the Lyra, overlay both of them into Pleiades so that we can save this for a turn 1 diamond. Activate the Pleiades, bounce it back, set the card, Skybridge, and we're done. So at this point, we can play it out. We get the attached material. Of 3 materials, we turn this into diamond. Now, no, you don't actually have to go into diamond. If it's a matchup that doesn't require the diamond, then instead you can just go into a Dweller instead. So you have options here. You can go into, instead of both of these monsters, you probably could have went into a Diamond and an Abyss Dweller if you really want to, shut down the Grave matchup. And even if you made like Cyber Dragon Infinity, say you went for that line instead, I would say that you're still going to die to a Dark Ruler no more. So your disruptions here are basically... you have a Pleiades, you have a Tellarknight Constellar Diamond, you have Appaloosa for 4, I guess. So the Sky Bridge is actually for 2 things. One, to get a pop, and the second thing is to rebuild your hand a little bit. So if you burned out your Diamond, Diamond is the only monster you can target with the Sky Bridge, so that you can shuffle that back in, summon on Altair Air from the deck, get yourself a Deneb summon. But on top of the Deneb summon, underneath the Pleiades here is the Altea. So if you did the proper detachment, the Altea would basically provide you with 1 additional pop. And that, I think, is actually pretty essential. So you'll have multiple disruption from the Appaloosa, Diamond shutting your opponent out from the main deck, as well as Dark Monster and Pleiades. And if you went for the Infinity line, you'd probably still get hit by Dark Ruler no more in the same way. But this, again, it was a 1-carder. So technically, you have 4 other cards to play with, technically. You guys have already seen the 1-card combo enough. Let's go into 2-card combo. Essentially just 2 level 4s and you just get all the way there. All the same, but you just have to reroute your pathing a little bit. We're going to start off with the normal summon of Lyra. Lyra effect. We're going to add Tellarknight Constellar. Next, we will activate the Constellar Caduceus, summon itself out. We're going to activate the effect to add the Twinkle into our hand. We're going to use this as an end board setup. You're basically not going to touch that card for a while. As we now go into Tellarknight Constellar Caduceus, and this is one of the biggest choke points I find in the deck, oddly enough. We're going to now send away and copy the effect of Anuculi. It's very specific for the Anuculi. I just like to send Altea into the graveyard for the setup, and this is one way that you can get the setup. Might alter the play if I find a better way to do it. Next, we're going to activate Tellarknight Constellar to revive the Lyra that we put back into the graveyard, and that's going to trigger the Altea. Altea has been summoned out onto the field. Don't use the effect to pop. You could if you want, especially if your opponent has cards. Next, M7, so that we can rank down back into our Delteros through the effect of Tellarknight Constellar. Now, unlike the first combo, we do have warriors, so we don't have to necessarily destroy our own Delteros. In fact, we can just link it off. It's just easier that way. And from here, we get to activate our Delteros and chain the Isolde on top. This Isolde will add a card that we can't use anymore, which will be the second copy of Altea or any alternative monster that you probably won't activate anymore. You can even add a Sirius for later on. But in any case, for now, what we're going to do is that we're going to special summon out our Altair. Effective Altair, targeting our Delteros. The board doesn't look very significant right now, but what we're going to do is we're going to activate the Isolde to give us the third monster, which will be the Renault. This time, we're going to send Living Fossil. Living Fossil will... Well, not Living Fossil, but Renault is going to be summoned through the effect, and then we're going to use Renault's effect to add the Living Fossil. This will provide us with the additional body. So we're going to activate the Living Fossil, get the Lyra. And if you really want to play this all safer, okay, if you really want to play it all safer, you can go into an Appaloosa first. And Delteros will activate. We can get ourselves a Deneb that we haven't summoned all game. Deneb will now provide us with a search of the Altair. Now we have a follow-up for the next turn. And because we have Twinkle, essentially we can change these monsters into level 5s so that we can get for a double 5 play or double 4 play. So in this case, why don't we go for the double 5? So what we're going to do first is that we're going to go into Ptolemaeus with the 2 regular Tellarknight monsters. We're just going to activate Twinkle, boost the level of Lyra by 1. Activate Twinkle, banish whatever. Activate Twinkle, boost Altea by 1. Then we can get ourselves a Pleiades. Once again, and end phase, we're going to attach a material. And you know what? We're going to activate play these anyways. We're going to detach the Altea, leaving in the graveyard. Bounce back the Constellar. This is going to go into our diamond. Oh, I attached the wrong card. But essentially, you're supposed to go into diamond there. To close out this video with my updated, honest opinion, man, this deck is kind of in the same camp. I'm not going to lie, guys. It still feels the same because the disruption that kills the deck is more or less the same. Yes, it is a 1-card combo deck. So if I gave it like 4 points previously, this is now about a 7-point deck for me out of a 10-point scale. And the reason is, even if 1 card can trade for 7 interactions, you still die to 1 card. You can trade 1 card for that coverage. And I think modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Should be talked about more in that angle. Like, oh yeah, I 1 card infinite negate. Yeah, but your infinite negate can be traded with 1 other card, then you're not really infinite negate. So you gotta talk about the amount of coverage and amount of stuff you can handle, which is why I still think that if you can search for the counter trap, then you get the full coverage. And it's about the amount of stuff that you can handle rather than the amount of stuff you can stop your opponent from doing. Because I think we've evolved beyond that in Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, you're still dying to the same stuff, but in terms of consistency and the impact level, much better now. So, well, that's all I got for this video, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whichever holiday that you were celebrating. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.